Welcome into the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we'll be here with you for the next couple of hours discussing sports topics of local, regional, and national importance. So stick around. It's going to be fun. Wade, we're almost to the weekend.
Almost to the weekend, and we are almost to triple digits. But hey, we ain't really complaining too much because next week is looking super soggy. But man, it's looking good. Temperatures in the 70s almost all week next week.
I got the Sonic slushy. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah.
Shout out Sonic.
Yeah, we got to do something about that too, by the way. I've got to call in. But yeah, trying to beat the heat here as we get through this afternoon. And we will be talking in the second hour of the show with Christopher Gabriel of the CG program out in Fresno, but he has interests that lie a little closer, particularly of the Orange persuasion. We'll be talking to him a little bit about this Chattanooga UT matchup to open the season in Neyland Stadium on Saturday and some other Tennessee topics. So stay tuned for that. In our next segment, it's Coach's Corner. We will be visiting with Ravenwood football coach Will Hester. The Raptors coming off of a big road win to open the season. We'll talk a little bit more about that and some of the spoils that came with that for the Raptors. Also be handing out our first Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week and our first TOA of Columbia Athlete of the Week for the 2024-25 school year. So be sure and check that out. We'll also be talking a little Braves, a little Major League Baseball, some college football, obviously. Schedule starts, it started Saturday, but we've got games tonight as well. One that particularly kind of jumps out, Wade, that I'm kind of intrigued by amongst a bunch of, kind of warm-ups. But also NFL rosters continuing to take shape, and NFL starting lineups continuing to take shape, and some WNBA action last night that we'll talk a little bit about. So we've got a full show. Oh, and it is Throwback Thursday. At the top of the second hour, we will be revisiting a conversation that Wade and I had here recently with Nashville Sounds reliever Craig YOHO. Stick around for that. It's kind of fascinating, the route that this young man has taken to the Class AAA level to this point of his career. So looking forward to that as well. Big show.
Yeah, like you said, all encompassing. Football will be featured pretty heavily as we got a lot of really sharp high school games tonight. We also got some pretty decent college games to get underway tonight, kind of just to whet the appetite, so to speak. And then flying into the weekend, a big show in addition to the normal Throwback Thursday festivities.
Absolutely. Preps to pros, as we like to say. We're going to cover it all here over the next couple of hours. So let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at yesterday's results and today's schedule on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Let's kick things off with yesterday's scoreboard, folks, on today's Rundown. And we begin on the volleyball court. A couple of volleyball showdowns, both ending 3-0. It was Gallatin defeating Pope John Paul II in that sweep. And then Riverdale knocked off Smyrna 3-0. Again, that was your volleyball scoreboard from yesterday. A couple of girls soccer matchups from yesterday as well, including a 2-2 draw versus Lipscomb Academy and Harpeth Hall. A good battle there, 4 goals total, 2 apiece in that showdown. BGA was a 3-1 winner versus Providence Christian last night. That takes us into Major League Baseball, where the Astros defeated the Phillies 10-0, and the Braves took care of the Twins 5-1 was your final score. Nashville Sounds all over Charlotte, 12-2 in favor of the Sounds. Big win last night for them. More on the Sounds throughout this broadcast. WNBA scores from last night. It was the Fever defeating the Sun 84-80. The Mystics over the Sky 74-70. Liberty falling to the Sparks. Is that correct?
Seems so.
Doesn't sound right, but I guess that's
It does
accurate.
not sound right. It doesn't. It
90,
sounds like a
the
typo.
worst defeats the best, 94-88 last night, as it were. The Lynx defeat the Phoenix Mercury 89-76, and Seattle hangs on for an 85-81 win versus Atlanta to cap their scoreboard from last night.
Tonight's action: football. Lipscomb Academy with the Thursday night special yet again, hosting Thompson out of Alabama. That's a 7 o'clock kick over off of Granny White Pike over there. Volleyball at 4:30. Columbia Academy travels to Bell Buckle, taking on the Lady Feet of Webb. At 5:45, it's Providence Christian at Grace Christian of Franklin. Also at 5:45, Middle Tennessee Christian goes to Battleground Academy. 6 o'clock starts for Moore County at Culleoka, Cannon County at Eagleville. Gallatin hosting Portland at 6. Also, Hampshire goes to Giles County at 6. Smyrna is at Laverne. Tullahoma travels to Lawrence County. Summertown goes to Loretto. Always fun when those two get together. 6 o'clock on that one. 6 o'clock for Blackman at Oakland. Mount Pleasant travels to Perry County for a 6 o'clock match. East Hickman is at Santa Fe. Columbia Central goes to Spring Hill. Wilson Central is at Stewart's Creek. Siegel is at Rockvale at 6:30, and Battle Creek goes to Murfreesboro Central. Time undetermined on that one.
Hey, real quick, go back to football. Did we give a shout out to Marshall County and Shelbyville tonight as well?
Oh,
big showdown between those two teams, both 1-0. Shelbyville will host tonight. That was a really fun game we did on Thursday Night Football last year in Lewisburg. So should be a big one tonight as well between those two mid-Tennessee squads.
Absolutely.
Girls soccer action for tonight. We get underway at 4 o'clock when McGavock travels to Glencliff. 5 p.m. will be Good Pasture at Ezell Harding. Also at 5, you can see Clarksville Academy at Good Pasture. Good Pasture's playing at 5. Don't know who because we got 2 different opponents listed. So check your local listings there. Davidson Academy set to travel to Mount Juliet Christian at 5 p.m. Kip Nashville will be at Springfield. Hunters Lane at St. Cecilia Academy, and Antioch will be at STEM Academy. On to 5:30 now, where Battle Creek is at Cornersville tonight. It will be Beach at James Lawson. DCA is at Nashville Christian. That carries us into 6 o'clock, where Waverly travels to Creekwood. McEwen, who's at East Robertson. Richland will travel to Forest. It'll be CPA at Franklin Road Academy. Smith County at Greenbrier. Hillsboro is on the road at Hume Fogg tonight. Kirkwood is hosting Trigg County, Kentucky. Murfreesboro Central Magnet, who's at Lawrence County. Loretto at Marshall County this evening. Cheatham County is at Portland. Fairview traveling to Sycamore. Macon County at Watertown. MLK at White House Heritage. Columbia Academy will play host to Middle Tennessee Christian at 6:30 this evening. It will be Independence at Brentwood Academy. Warren County, who's at Columbia. Nolensville at Father Ryan. Clarksville Northeast at Montgomery Central. Innsworth at Pope John Paul II. Richland hosting Fayetteville tonight. Gave incorrect earlier. Richland will be hosting Fayetteville tonight, and it will be at 6:30. Played Forest earlier in the week. Lebanon will be at Rockvale tonight at 6:30 to get you into that 7 o'clock window.
7 o'clock. Riverdale travels to Blackman. Also, Giles County is at Culleoka. Clarksville Northwest travels to Dixon County at 7. Wilson Central is at Green Hill. Hendersonville hosts Hendersonville hosts Centennial. Oakland hosts Siegel. Franklin goes to Page. It's Brentwood at Ravenwood in the Battle of the Woods at 7. Henry County travels to Rossview. Also at 7, it's Grace Christian of Franklin at Stewart's Creek. Mount Juliet travels to Summit. West Creek is at White House. And Cookville goes to Smyrna at 8.
Late night affair.
Apparently. Okay. Maybe it's going to take Cookville that long to get there. I don't know. Anyway, Major League Baseball this evening, 5:40. You can see it on the MLB Network and on Bally Sports Southeast. Atlanta begins a 4-game series at Philadelphia, trailing by 5 in the NL East. Make of that what you will. This is a hot series right here. Kansas City comes to Minute Maid Park, taking on the Astros. in a matchup of up-and-coming American League teams as the Royals try to take over the top spot in the AL Central and the Astros try to hold on to the top spot in the AL West. That's a 7:10 start. It can be seen locally or you can see it on MLB TV. And at 6:04 tonight, the Nashville Sounds continue their series over in Charlotte against the Knights. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Top story brought to you as always by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and get through there for their delicious daily deli lunch options that are available until 6 p.m., as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And from the PGA Tour, the 2024 championship teed off today down at East Lake in Atlanta, and trying to see where we are and who's doing what in that. Scotty Scheffler looks to be leading. No shock there since he came in with a -10. But Wade, are you finding any up-to-date info on this?
Yep.
Good.
Latest we can give you. Scotty and Xander are both through 5 holes. Xander has made up 1 shot. Remember, like you said, he was 2 shots behind Scheffler entering the day. So he's 1 under on the day and now 9 under for the tournament. Third place, 2 under this afternoon, Keegan Bradley. Look out, folks. He's on a little bit of a roll here, up to 3rd on the leaderboard. Matsuyama is 7 under. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 under. And then Adam Scott is the 6th in that situation as he's 3 under for the day. So that's your top 5. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, and Adam Scott as they get ready to play on down in East Lake. Should be a fun weekend, man. It's going to be hot this weekend, but these guys will be out getting after it, trying to win their share of $25 million if you can knock it off on the weekend.
And I guess the leaders went off last, so they are still out there in the heat of the day pretty much.
Yep. Best score on the day thus far. Remember, there's only a 30-man field, no cuts to the best of my knowledge as well. So Taylor Penderth is he started the day at just 1 under, but he's 4 under for the round. So that puts him up to 5 for the tournament. Similar situation to Justin Thomas, who entered at even par. He's 4 under for the day. So 4 under individually is the best round for the day. And I'll be curious to see how these afternoon guys kind of fare because, yeah, the ball should be rolling, should be getting a little extra, tee to green in that regard as the big hitters go off and are just now through 5 or 6 holes.
Where does fatigue in this heat in Atlanta, humidity figure in?
Man, that's a great question. Presumably these guys have dealt with this. They played at altitude last week. They played in Memphis the week before, kind of like a training ground almost in a sense to get you ready. You had the heat 2 weeks ago. You had the altitude last week. Scotty's, he's a Texas guy, so I mean maybe he's used to these scorchers. It'll be fascinating. Vegas still lists Scheffler as your favorite, just a little over even money. Schauffele is just behind him. And beyond that, everybody is kind of, it looks like unless one of those 2 guys falls off a cliff, someone's going to have to flat out earn it. For instance, Keegan Bradley, who is in 3rd, he's 18-1 currently. These odds are courtesy of PGAtour.com. He's 18-1 at the moment. So, I mean, it's basically a 2-man tournament at the moment until one of those guys blinks. Everybody else is going to have to take it from them.
So the PGA Tour is putting out its own odds.
They use a third party.
Okay.
No, I don't want to give that company free shout outs, but yeah,
there we go.
They use their own entity, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
You can follow them along in real time, and I'll tell you who's not got great odds, and that is Billy Horschel, the former Florida Gator, who is 75 750 to 1, excuse me, after he goes out and shoots 2 over today. So he is 1 over for the tournament. He is going to be one of the guys that benefits from the no cut situation here. He did not do very well for himself this afternoon.
It's a good thing there's not a cut, because if there was one, he would have been such.
Could have been gone by the wayside. There ain't no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be handing out some awards and gearing up for Coach's Corner and a visit from Ravenwood's Will Hester. Stick around after the break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neela. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we are joined now on Coach's Corner by triumphant Ravenwood football coach Will Hester, fresh off of a 27-17 win up at Alcoa in Friday's season opener. I don't think he's driving back from Alcoa, but he is driving. Will, good afternoon.
What's up, Mo? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Hey, what are you playing, hooky or what?
Now I got a meeting at the central office, so driving to Franklin to the old hospital.
Oh, okay. You're not in trouble, are you?
Hope not. I guess I'll find out. Nah, it's a meeting that's been on the docket for a while. So
Okay. All right. Hey, seriously, congratulations on the win up at Alcoa. That doesn't happen a whole lot, but apparently this is a pretty special team that you are sitting at the top of. And what is it? High School Football America took notice. You guys are ranked number 176 out of 300 in the country this week. So congrats.
yeah, I mean, I guess 176 seems like a long way from the top. You know what I mean? But I mean, we do have a chance to be a special team. Clearly, we got to take this thing one game at a time. But we got a lot of older kids with a lot of experience, and anytime you've got 28 seniors, and most of which are great leaders, you have a chance. And our league kind of in the schedule that we play, we took some lumps last year, but all these same kids were playing. So excited to see where we can take this thing.
Yeah, and Coach, I'm curious. Obviously, last year didn't go your way in terms of Alcoa, but what did you learn, or is it just chalking it up to, hey, I got a much more defined team this year? What did you take away from last year's result that maybe got you the result this year versus Alcoa?
Yeah, I mean, every year's kind of different, right? I mean, they were senior heavy last year, and we were the young team, and it's kind of flipped this year. I think they've got like 6 or 8 seniors on their squad this year, and starting a bunch of sophomores and stuff. And obviously, it's Alcoa. When you play 15 games a season like they do, you can get caught up on your technique and your skill set really fast because you're getting a lot more practice than everybody else is. So they're not your average young team per se, but I think it was just kind of, the difference in the 2 years for the two teams.
And then with a win like that, or better yet, what's it like playing in a game and an environment like that in your very first outing of the season? And how do you potentially use that momentum now to roll into what Mo just said was going to be a really challenging schedule for you guys this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about, you want to find out where you are. We've played, Alcoa now the last 2 years. 2 years before that, it was NBA, right? I mean, we've generally had that opening game that's been super tough to kind of measure yourself and find out, where your weaknesses lie. The things I was most proud of, right? It was a week 1 game. We had 3 total penalties, which you don't see very often.
Oh, wow.
We were able to take the opening drive 80 yards. So our first possession of the season, we were able to drive 80 yards for a touchdown. It was some things that generally are a little sloppy in game 1 that were not that way. So proud of that. And I think it's a testament to those seniors and those leaders we have on our team.
Will Hester, veteran Ravenwood football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. And again, folks took notice of that 27-17 win up at Alcoa. Tennessee Titans Coach of the Week, Tennessee Football Coaches Association Class 4A through 6A Coach of the Week. And, you talked at the Williamson County Media Day, Will, about the value of getting on a bus and traveling, relating it to something that you're going to have to do at some point in the postseason as if you go far enough. But talk about the logistics of doing that in week 1.
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, logistically speaking, it's a little easier week 1. What we run into, especially when you're chartering buses, the yellow cheese can't leave at 4:30 and get you to Knoxville, right? So, you got to leave before school gets out, and you got to charter through the local charter companies. Well, when everybody in the area is playing playoff games and traveling all over the state, that puts you in a bind with these bus companies getting all those things logistically scheduled. So available buses are probably easier this time of year. When the playoffs roll around, it gets a lot harder. But it was good for our kids to have to get it and do that. It was a business trip for us. We had them dressed up in shirt and tie, and we had to eat a pregame meal on the road. And we got there super early so we could go through our normal routine. And, the way the bracket's set up, whoever comes out of our region playoff wise and plays in the state semifinals will have to go to Memphis. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts, who the higher seed is, all that thing. We know whoever's in Nashville that makes it out has to go to Memphis. So, goals being what goals are, you got to plan accordingly. And we know what that trip looks like and feels like. So why not take an opportunity early in the year to match that and see if there's any kinks that need to be worked out in that process.
And the biggest kink being getting a bus, huh?
That is the biggest kink sometimes, for sure.
Well, I think a lot of coaches in the area, if not statewide, are a little envious of you, because where most coaches are coming into the season at the high school level hoping they've got one starting caliber quarterback, clearly you've got two.
I would agree totally. And, there's a lot of coach speak adages around, if you're playing two quarterbacks, that means you really don't have one. I think we're trying to break that mold or that precedent, if you will, because we really do believe we have two starter caliber quarterbacks. Both of them happen to be juniors. Both of them have a lot of experience playing already. Maverick got hurt early in the season last year, and Femi came on. But Maverick got all those reps as freshman and actually started our playoff games as a freshman, if y'all remember when Chris Parson got hurt. And then Femi, as a sophomore, he was injured as a freshman, and kind of the roles are reversed. Now he comes onto the scene and leads us to 9-4 as a 10th grader, right? So, and gets us to the quarterfinals and does all those kinds of things. So we really, truly believe that we have two great dynamic quarterbacks, two guys that we believe will both play college football as quarterbacks. And, why not? We rotate wideouts. We rotate linebackers. Why would we not rotate quarterbacks if they deserve and have earned the right to play? So, that's kind of where we're at.
How would you describe those two guys in terms of their skill sets, Will?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think they're pretty similar. The offense does not change when Maverick's in or when Femi's in. We don't have to have a group of plays for one and the other, and it's not going to be a situation where, when this quarterback's in, we know we're going to get one of these plays, or when this quarterback's in, we know we're going to, what makes them different is how they see the game, right? How they process the game. We may call the exact same play for both of them and have two different outcomes because of the way they see it and process it. So, to be honest with you, I think it actually makes this a little more difficult to prepare for, because you've got two guys, each which are both talented, but see the game a little bit differently, and thus the same play can have two results.
That's interesting, because as an offensive coach, when you've got two different quarterbacks who see it two different ways, which one is seeing it the way you want to see it?
That's a great question. To be honest with you, I don't think it matters how I want to see it, as long as these guys see it the way they do see it and distribute the football. You know what I mean? We run some RPO stuff, and it's a pretty solid read. But when it comes to the pass game, there are opportunities for multiple different outcomes to be the right one. And, I'm a math teacher by trade, so, usually the right answer is the right answer. But when it comes to football, there's more than one right way to do it.
Coach, I'd be remiss as the Giles County play-by-play voice if I didn't ask this question. Is Alcoa beatable by any 3A school this year in your mind?
I mean, unfortunately for 3A, I think right now, this time of year, may be the best chance to get them. But, 13 games from now, another semifinal appearance between them and Giles County, those guys are going to be all super experienced and they're very talented. Same quarterback's back. The big tight end that's going to Michigan is still there. They're going to be right there when it comes to the end. I mean, nobody's unbeatable. I feel like a couple of years ago, East Nashville had as good a chance as anybody to beat them in the state championship game, scoring 24, 25 points against them. So I don't think anybody is unbeatable by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be a tough out for sure.
It'll be a tough out, and thank you, I guess, tongue-in-cheek, because later in that semifinal matchup when we're taking on Alcoa again, hopefully, they're going to say, You remember that Ravenwood game? We ain't having any repeat of that. They're going to use you guys to put up a number, I'm afraid, on potentially whoever they meet down the road. So thanks in advance for that.
Well, I know David O'Connor and Don Thomas will have them ready to go. So
it'll be fun. Coach, speaking of the rest of your schedule, you get ready to roll into Cane Ridge. How do you process a lengthy road trip in a super hostile environment to a shorter road trip, but potentially an equally hostile environment as you get ready to make that shorter trip over to take on the Ravens this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know that one is less stressful than the other, to be quite honest. You know, Cane Ridge and Ravenwood have played a lot of very big, meaningful games over the last 8 to 10 years, and this one will be no different. Obviously, they took it on the chin a little bit to a very good Mount Juliet team last week. But, you know, I mean, now we're on that yellow cheese. We're not chartering the 14 or 15 minutes it is to Cane Ridge, and you know, now we're going to be dressing in a regular old high school locker room as opposed to a gymnasium like we were at Alcoa. So there's a lot of stressful situations that go into the shorter trip. The positive is we'll be home on Friday instead of getting home in the wee hours of Saturday morning like we were last week. But still stressful nonetheless.
Will, from what you can tell, what looks different about Cane Ridge without Eddie Woods at the top of that program?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Eddie. He and I have spent a lot of time talking football and hanging out. And I hate, to be honest, that he's not coaching in our area right now, because I do think he's one of the best. I think they have lost some players to the transfer portal of high school, if you will. I think once Eddie kind of stepped aside, some of those kids took that as an opportunity to go elsewhere. So I do think that they're kind of a young and up-and-coming team. But obviously they got, you know, James Reese's son still around, who's a very good player. And they've got some guys that, you know, may have been in backup roles last year, that this is their opportunity to burst on the scene. So, you know, as much as I'd like to say that they're not an Eddie Woods coach team, and they're not, it's hard to tell from watching film that they are not, because they're still super talented and very dangerous.
Will Hester, Ravenwood football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party. Will, you mentioned the transfer portal, and that kind of brings me back to your two-headed quarterback situation. You mentioned that Maverick Chance and Femi Babaola are both juniors. How do you approach that from a coach's standpoint? Because I mean, I don't know that there's necessarily a keeping them both happy mentality, but how do you go about that, particularly in this day and time where the transfer portal is open?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm of the mindset now, and having kind of, you know, been around it and been through it for a couple of years now with people moving and doing that sort of stuff. I don't, just like you said, I don't think there is a keeping them happy. I think we can just play it out, and however it plays out, you know, I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. I mean, we're not going to be able to keep everybody happy. We're a team of 111 players. I can only put 11 of them on the field at any one given time. And, you know, as much as we are about building young men and growing their character and building the culture of our team, we're also about trying to find ways to be successful and win football games. And I think you can definitely do both, but I think you can't do both if you're worried about feelings and worried about, you know, what the move of the next person is going to be. You know, I think we can just coach them and love them equally as hard. And if, you know, the environment is a healthy one and they feel like everybody wants to be a part, you know, I think that's the best thing you can do for kind of recruiting your own locker room, if you will, is to create an environment that's competitive, where guys know they're going to get coached and hard and loved hard, and then hopefully, you know, have some success as well.
Are there conversations, you know, taking the temperature, that kind of thing, or how much do you concern yourself with hypotheticals and what might happen as far as that goes?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm too old, Mo. Today may be my last day. You know, if I spend it worrying about, you know, what may happen, what will happen, you know, I tell some of our younger coaches, you know, we don't need to chase ghosts. You know, we got to just coach what's right in front of us. And, you know, to be honest with you, I enjoy my life too much to worry about stuff like that.
And you've got a special enjoyment with this particular Ravenwood team because I believe there is a young Hester on your roster.
There is. This is the senior season of my youngest child. I got a senior in college and a senior in high school. So it is super cool to get to share, this time in his life, right? He wants to go on and be a coach. So he's going to go off to college and get involved in a football program somewhere, probably not as a player, more as a student assistant manager type guy, but super excited to have this time with him, and we're creating memories that he and I will look back on as some of the special times for both of our lives.
There is a picture somewhere on Facebook of Riggs sleeping with the state championship trophy from a few years back, and to think that he is now a high school senior, it's really kind of it's a little jarring, and I'm sure it's even more so for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're old, Mo. I mean, we've been doing this thing a long time. You and I have had these conversations for a lot of years now, and yeah, I mean, the sad part is it goes super fast. My speech this morning, we walked through this morning. That's our Thursday morning routine, and my speech to the seniors were, guys, 9 p.m. tomorrow, we're already going to be 20% through the regular season. It goes super, super fast, man. Both this life and this football season all go really fast.
Coach, before we get you out of here, biggest thing or biggest adjustment, good or bad, you'd like to see out of your team from week 1 versus Alcoa to tomorrow night versus Cane Ridge?
Yeah, I mean, it's coach speak, right, to say the biggest strides of the season are made from game 1 to game 2. I felt like we played a pretty solid game 1, so to continue that upward mobility is going to be kind of difficult. We did put the ball on the ground twice against Alcoa, both leading to points for them. They scored 10 points off of or 9 points really off of our turnovers, and we got to make sure that we clean that up and protect the football a little better. I think if we can do that, we will have made those strides from game 1 to game 2 that we need to make. But in the end, finding one way to score one more point than Cane Ridge does will make this old coach happy. I promise you that.
Yes, sir.
Will Hester, Ravenwood football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. Will, like I said, I hope you're not in trouble, and if you are, be sure and let me know. But we will catch up with you soon, man. We appreciate you taking some time with us.
Absolutely, guys. Talk to y'all soon.
All right. Hey, before we get out of this segment, obviously, as we said, we need to present a couple of our weekly awards. We will start with the Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. Besides the military, high school athletics is your biggest team building endeavor, and Custom Stone Handlers is proud to present the Into Win Life Team of the Week award to the Summertown Eagles football team under second-year coach Dan Winfrey. Scored a couple of first half touchdowns, came up with 3 turnovers, 2 in the red zone to preserve a 14-0 victory over Class 5A foe Lawrence County in the Eagles team home opener last week. So again, congratulations to the Summertown Eagles, our Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. Our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week, meanwhile, Columbia Academy running back Monte Baldwin, who rushed for 227 yards and a pair of touchdowns on 30 carries in CA's 42-20 win over at Middle Tennessee Christian in week 1, becoming Columbia Academy's all-time leading rusher with that performance. So congratulations to Monte Baldwin, again, our TOA Athlete of the Week, as well as Summertown Football, our Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. So Coach's Corner, again, brought to you by 10 Pin Alley in Columbia, Eat, Play, Party. We will take a break here on Main Street Sports today. And when we return to the Lee Company studios, we'll be talking a little baseball. So stay tuned when we come back after this.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
August 29th, 2010, after Matt Diaz's two-run pinch hit home run in the ninth brought Atlanta all the way back from a 5-run deficit to tie the contest, Brian McCann's double was reviewed for 86 seconds and determined to be a game-winning solo home run in a 7-6 Braves victory over visiting Florida. It marked the first time in Major League Baseball history that video review had resulted in a walk-off home run. McCann went 3 for 4 in the win, while the bullpen allowed 1 run in 6 innings. That was this day in Braves history. Again, no such dramatics at Target Field yesterday, but the Braves did get out with a 5-1 win over the Twins for a much-needed 3-game sweep. And this team just continues to fascinate because, again, when Austin Riley went down with that broken hand, you thought, okay, this is going to be the straw. But Atlanta has won 11 of their last 15 all of a sudden. And Chris Sale right at the front of it finished with 8 strikeouts last night, now has 197 on the year, which is the most by a Braves left-hander in a single season ever. Sale improving to 15-3 with the win, and quiet as it's kept, y'all, this guy's got a shot at winning a National League Cy Young Award.
He's been the favorite, and unless something happens, I don't see anybody catch him at this point.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he's the first 15-game winner in Major League Baseball, but I'm pretty sure he's the first one in the National League. But had a lot of help last night. Soler with a solo home run in the first. And, I'm going to eat a little bit of crow right here because I've not been the biggest Brian Snitker fan. Okay, I've not been a Brian Snitker fan at all. But he decided to sit Gio Urshela last night and give Luke Williams a start. All Williams did was hit a couple of doubles, 1 for 2 runs in a 4-run seventh. And I mean, if you're going to hammer a dude for screwing up pitching moves and that kind of thing, then you got to give him his props for walking in and deciding, you know what, I'm going to give Luke Williams a start at third base today. See what happens, and that's what he does. So, hats off to Brian Snitker.
For this game, at least, it sounds like.
For this game.
It sounds like you're tiptoeing into that. You ain't full-blown fandom yet, but you're tiptoeing in the waters.
I am just trying to give credit where credit is due, and I'm trying to be able to maintain my objectivity. Again, if you're gonna hammer somebody when you feel like they screw up, then you ought to be able to acknowledge them when you feel like they did something good. And you can't argue with the fact that he did something good by throwing Luke Williams in the starting lineup yesterday. So again, props to Snitker for pulling that trigger last night. Let's see. Yeah, 2 for 4 with a pair of ribs, both doubles. I mean,
right in the hot hand. I mean, talk about good, clean living.
Yeah, and so we'll see. I've not seen a starting lineup for today yet. I would imagine Urshela is back in there just because I don't know that you want to try to push that. But 5:40 today, you've got Charlie Morton getting the start for Atlanta, 7-7 with a 4.24 ERA up at Citizens Bank Field against Christopher Sanchez, 9-9 with a 3.51 for the Phillies. The Phillies licking their wounds a little bit, as we said, after the Astros got out of town with a 10-0 victory yesterday. Spencer Adighetti, 7+.
Luke Williams batting, playing third today.
Oh, okay. We're going to ride the hot hand.
Yep.
Okay. Play him until they stop him, I guess.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, Adighetti, 7+ no hit, Wade.
I mean, hey, I joked about the no-hitter yesterday, and man, it was looking pretty promising there for a little bit. Houston has flirted with, they've got the one, obviously, but man, they flirted with several other no-nos this season.
Yordan Alvarez took all of the suspense out of that one last night. Not 1, not 2, but 3 bombs in that big win for the Astros. So, as we stand, again, Philadelphia, I believe, is 5 up on the Braves in the National League East. And again, I'm not necessarily sure that the East is where the Braves need to be focusing their attention. But if they can somehow split this series, then maybe all of a sudden that becomes a little bit more manageable. I'm not sure, but they are 4 games up on the Mets for the final wild card spot, 2 games behind the Padres in the
Mets crumbled last night too.
Mets gonna Met.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I love this, by the way. Couple quick things. You mentioned the no-hitter potentially bid. Alvarez hits combined 1,190 feet worth of home runs, and Altuve stole home. So I mean, they had a little bit of everything. They did. You would think they had won the first 2 games of the series the way they were kind of punking the Phillies with that kind of effort in Game 3 right there.
Little power speed combo right there. You got to like that. Anytime you can work a steal of home into a win, that's a big thing. So the Astros bringing a little momentum back to the friendly confines as Kansas City comes in for a 7-10 first pitch. Brady Singer, 9-9 with a 3.38 earned run average, former Florida product, getting the start for the Royals. Hunter Brown, 11-7 with a 3.72 ERA, going for Houston in this one. And this is going to be a barn burner, it feels like.
Yeah, one of the hottest teams in the American League in the Royals, who almost swept the Guardians, just kind of stubbed their toe there in the finale. Yeah, they've been playing great. They're a game back in the Central. This feels like it will be a fun series. Houston's trying to fend off Seattle, who suddenly kind of got a little sign of life, a little bit of a pulse there. So I'm looking forward to what should be a good one coming up the next couple of nights.
Absolutely. Rangers making a little news, or a Rangers prospect making a little news. Former Vandy boy Kumar Rocker makes his first start for AAA Round Rock, strikes out 10.
Ooh.
10 of the 16 batters he faced. Pitched five one-hit innings. So he only faced one over the max. And again, 10 strikeouts, a professional career high for the former Vandy boy who pitched a 19 strikeout no-hitter against Duke in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the Michigan fan of me still got a little PTSD just hearing that name.
Well, I understand.
They needed one more win, and the title will be there. Second ever baseball title, and Vanderbilt just had to ruin it.
Well, but you know what, though? There are a lot of Vanderbilt fans that have PTSD over Michigan as well.
Wow.
And Alan Oaks in particular.
Yeah, that was a regional. I guess that was when Vanderbilt, was on the come up.
They weren't just on the come up. Wait, they were the national #1 seed. So
yeah, they haven't won it yet, right? I'm still friends with Alan Oaks, by the way, on Facebook randomly. I added him after that regional, and I asked David Price about that one time. I saw him.
Oh no! Are you serious?
I had to, man. What do you think? I'm a poser here, and he was not too bad. He said he still was. This was like 5 years after the fact, and he still remembered that, and he said he knew Alan Oaks, and they had traded messages since then. But yeah, Rocker absolutely decimated me there, and I don't foresee Michigan getting back to the promised land that close anytime soon. The way they've last 2 or 3 seasons have gone.
Obviously, you know the Rocker story, drafted in 2021 by the Mets, who did not sign him because they didn't like what they saw in his physical. Drafted by the Rangers. Mets proved that maybe they were right when Rocker underwent Tommy John surgery. He's been back since last July. I'm sorry, since just this July, I guess. And an 11.75 strikeout to walk ratio in 31 minor league innings to this point. Now, does he get to Arlington before the end of the year? Hard to say. On one hand, if you're the Rangers, why rush him? On the other hand, if you're the Rangers, might as well get him to the majors and maybe get him a little acclimated before 2025.
Yeah, a little splash of the big time, right?
And if you're the Rangers, it's kind of like Friday. You ain't got to do. Might as well. So that'll be something to kind of keep an eye on here, I think, over the next few weeks. One of the few things to keep an eye on as Texas, for now, defending World Series champion, goes. So Shohei making news yesterday. Hit a home run, stole a couple of bases. I think he's now at 42, the most in each of those categories by any major league player. A lot of 40-40s, but it was 40 home runs and a bunch more stolen bases or something like that. I think Ronald hit 40 home runs and had 73 steals last year, but 42 home runs and 42 stolen bases, I believe, is the most of anyone. And he's the fastest to get to those numbers. And so obviously, with the amount of games that the Dodgers have left, could be looking 50-50.
Yep. I just saw a screenshot a couple days ago. The odds are out there, and the odds were looking pretty good because, I mean, at the leadoff position, it's been fun to watch this guy in his first season in the National League, and he is a rare talent for a really good team, and it's going to be fun to watch him potentially see what happens in the postseason after a couple of, kind of toiling in mediocrity in terms of the team's success out there in Anaheim before.
And it's also going to be, to see him in a postseason is going to be pretty fascinating. And to see him add pitching to the repertoire next year, I guess, once he gets cleared.
I'm assuming, that's still the plan, right? Is he just returns?
I would assume for the money they put in him, I don't think this is all they were looking for. So I don't know. And, as unhealthy as the Dodgers have been on the mound this year, I'm sure they would welcome those reinforcements from him in 25. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, it is Throwback Thursday, and we will throw it back to our recent visit with Nashville Sounds reliever Craig YOHO. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
are joined now by Nashville Sounds pitcher Craig YOHO. And Craig, welcome to the show. We appreciate you kind of hanging out and waiting for us to kind of bang through that first segment. But man, I'm excited to get you on because the 8th round selection in the 2023 Major League Baseball draft out of Indiana University, Craig YOHO, who is already in AAA after starting this season in Single A. Man, do you know where you are right now?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. And yeah, this year's been kind of a whirlwind. Started out in High A up in Wisconsin, and now I'm here in Nashville. So it's been a great season so far.
Weather's a little bit different from Wisconsin in April to Nashville in August, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I've had to unpack all my beanies and thermal gear, and so I had to break out the tank tops to get some sun and stuff.
What is it that has allowed you to move so quickly, and has the pace of your movement, been what you expected, or how would you assess your progression to this point?
Yeah, honestly, it's just been a lot of just leaning on what my strengths are, not trying to be somebody that I'm not, just sticking to what I do well and not trying to, compensate or anything like that. And then, it's still the same sport that I played when I was a little kid, when I was in high school, and whether, I'm in High A or whether I'm in AAA, it's the same game. And, there people hitting off me are playing the same sport as well. And so it's just not making the moments bigger than what they actually are, and just going out there, having fun and competing. And, that's what I'm great at. That's what I love to do. And just keeping it simple has really just helped me, keep a level head and stay focused. And, it's allowed me to move quickly. And, that's been a great blessing.
Craig, a lot of it seems like, staying within yourself and kind of being just obsessed with the moment. But I'm curious, what lessons have you learned through your various stops already this season from teammates, coaches, et cetera? What advice are you picking up as you go along?
Yeah, honestly, it's just it's been quick, and I've gotten to be with a lot of different teammates and coaches already this season, and the Brewers do a great job with all their coaches and their staff members, and so just kind of the message and like the things that they value from top to bottom are fairly the same, which makes it that much easier as you move through. It's like when you move up a level, it doesn't all of a sudden change what they're trying to teach and preach, and it gives you that, I guess, stability and kind of, what you're going to expect, and what they're going to expect of you. And so that's been really helpful. And just, working with guys and just kind of picking up on something that they do well, whether it's routine or, something with a pitch or, part of the game and managing it. And so just little things along the way is just talking shop with the guys in the bullpen or whatever it may be in the, in the clubhouse. So it's been great. And we have a great group of guys all throughout the org. So it's been a great help.
You obviously got to have a lot of confidence to be able to do what you're doing on a nightly basis. But I'm curious, as you've gone on, is there one particular moment that you can look back to at any point during this season and you're like, oh, yeah, something either switched, or that's when I realized, like, hey, I really have a shot to kind of make a career out of this thing? Kind of curious if there was one singular moment or if you've just been riding everything.
Honestly, it hasn't been one singular moment, which I think is a good thing, because it's just been like every outing I keep building on what I did well. And so, I don't try to, reinvent myself from one outing to the next, whether it's, good, bad, or in between. It's like, just take what's good and then just keep stacking those days. I know how cliche it sounds, but, it's not like all of a sudden one day I figured it out and now I'm super confident. It's just been a building step all throughout. When I started in High A versus now, I don't feel like I'm that much different, but it's just continuing to take the good that comes out of each outing and then just, continuing that on. As easy as it sounds, but it's not.
Craig YOHO, reliever for the Nashville Sounds, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. 38 appearances, all of those out of the pen this season at 3 different levels, as he said, with the Wisconsin Single A affiliate of the Midwest League, with Biloxi down in the Southern League, and 4 appearances with the Sounds. 3-1 with an earned run average of 0.76. That's solid.
Thank you.
What do you feel like? What is it that you do when you're doing what you do well?
Honestly, it's a lot of just making it easier on myself. So keeping runners off base that I can control. So walks, hit by pitches, and then, just challenge hitters, make them beat me. And then I have had the luxury of having great defense behind me in every level that I've been in. So just challenging hitters, and when they do put it in play, I know that my defense is going to make great plays behind me. And just that recipe has been great. It's been working, and I'm going to continue to work at the highest level too. I'm going to have great defenders there, and just eliminating the stuff that I can control has really just made it easy on me and allowed me to strike a lot of guys out and keep runners off base, which keeps guys from scoring. So
90 strikeouts, 14 walks in 47 2/3 innings combined between AA and AAA. I strike a lot of guys out.
Yeah.
He strikes a lot of guys out. Yeah. As a Braves fan, I've watched Spencer Schwellenbach. I don't know how much baseball you get to watch that you're not playing at this point, but he kind of made a jump similar to yours as well from AA almost straight up to the majors. And early in the season, it was almost like he was throwing too many strikes, like he was around the zone too much. Has that ever been a concern for you? Is that a concern for you? How do you address that, if it is?
That's something that as a reliever, you kind of have a little different approach to each and every outing. Obviously with scouting reports, and I might only face 6 of the 9 hitters, or 3 of the 9 hitters in an outing. So Schwellenbach was a starter, so it's a little bit different approach. You're trying to keep pitch counts down, stuff like that. So coming out of the pen, obviously I'm trying to throw my best stuff. I'm trying to get hitters out as quick as possible and as soon as possible. So especially with my pitch arsenal, I have a lot of stuff that moves, and so even if it does end up in zone at a high clip, it's going to be moving on them. So it's not going to be just a fastball down the middle. If it starts out down the middle, it might not even end up as a strike. So it's like, it's a little bit of, I guess, a safety blanket in a way where it's like I can attack the zone and know that like the damage is going to be limited for the most part. So, and then that's when my great defense behind me is going to make a play to pick me up. So it's just kind of puts me at ease when I'm pitching to, just challenge hitters and just see how well my stuff plays in the zone. And then obviously you adapt if, a guy's on a certain pitch and you go from there.
You've been out of the pen all this season and pretty much throughout your career with the Brewers organization. What is your background? I mean, were you a starter at Indiana, or how does a pitcher become a reliever at the professional level?
Yes, so I was a position player basically my first 4 years through college. Had injuries through college, had 2 elbow surgeries and a knee surgery, and got to the point where it was my 5th year of college. I hadn't really played a season yet, and I knew pro ball was my dream and playing in the big leagues, and I just knew I had to give my body a chance to get to the next level, and that was through pitching basically. So my last year at Indiana, I decided to be a pitcher and found a role in the bullpen, and I was coming in second inning sometimes, closing sometimes, just wherever the team needed me. And then the Brewers, took a chance on me in the 8th round, like you mentioned earlier, and the rest has kind of been history. So it's worked out, and I'm excited to embrace this role and maybe be a back-end bullpen arm in the near future. So,
how does that play to your advantage, Craig? The fact that you have not been a pitcher your whole life. I mean, your arm isn't necessarily the age of a lot of other pitchers your age because you were a position guy for most of your career, somewhat like Schwellenbach again.
Yeah, and that's been a huge help, I believe, personally, in developing pitches, because I don't have that, muscle memory from when I was, 15, trying to, oh, that's just how I throw my curveball all my life, and I can't change that now. And so it's really helped me adapt very quickly and, shape my pitches because everything's brand new. So it's really been, I guess, a blessing kind of in disguise. And like you said, like it's kind of like a fresh arm in a way too. So, if you really think about it, I've only thrown for 2 years now, rather than some guys, since they've been throwing since they were, 15, they might be, 10 years in on being a pitcher. So, and then also on the other end of the spectrum, it's like I was a hitter, so I know what hitters are looking for. I know, oh, he took that pitch, so, he's probably looking for this one now or whatever. So it's just kind of like helps me with that chess match that always happens between pitchers and hitters. And I kind of get a little glimpse behind the curtain on what they're thinking from my previous experience.
I was going to ask real quick. I wanted to ask Craig about that. There's really no maybe way to track this, but you earned freshman All-America honors in your 5th year of college. That has to be a record of some sort, right?
I would assume so.
Earning All-American honors, right?
Yeah, that's something me and my buddies always joke about, and you'll see Indiana post about it and stuff like that too, which is funny. It always gives me a little laugh when I see that. I was a 23-year-old married man in college, and I was a freshman All-American. So, unfortunately, I probably took a spot away from a really good ball player. That was 17 or 18. But
also doing business.
Yeah.
Craig, as you talk about your development and your transition to pitching, do you feel like maybe that makes you a little bit more coachable as well, because you aren't, this is how I've thrown my curveball since I was 15? I mean, is there more of a blank slate there with you in terms of your development than maybe a lot of other guys in your position?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going into Indiana my first year. It was like I had threw a fastball. I had a pretty good arm, and so it was like, all right, well, obviously I need a secondary pitch and a third pitch after that. So worked with pitching coaches there and developed a curveball, and then I kind of ended up coming up with my changeup kind of on my own, and then like you said, it's a blank slate, so everything's basically on the table. This offseason I was able to add a cutter. Once I kind of got comfortable, and it's I haven't really used it much this season yet, but it's like something I always have in my back pocket whenever I do need it. And so I'm always open to new things, because it's like I'm not stuck in my routines, or I don't have my superstitions where it's like, oh, this I don't do this today, I've been doing it for the past 10 years, I'm not gonna have a good outing or whatever. So that's kind of been nice, where it's just like I go out there, be athletic, have fun, compete, and the results will be themselves. So
yeah, as a reliever, obviously, as you said, you don't know when you're going in, you don't know if you're going in. Really kind of forces you to, one, be able to get ready quick, but also two, to really kind of be adaptable. Because you don't know. How does a reliever get ready when they don't know when they're going to go?
Yeah, that's a great point. They always say, like, if you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. So, obviously you try to move around in between innings, just, whenever your name does get called, and, hearing your name get called, there's always that little bit of adrenaline that hits, and that's usually enough to get most guys going down there. If you look at most relievers, we're kind of adrenaline junkies. So, when that's pretty much all we need, a little bit of that, maybe some caffeine before the game or something to keep you going. And then, you just go out there and do your thing, and playing baseball is fun. So it's like, when you got that combined with it, there's not much else you can ask for.
YOHO, you're up. Is that it? I mean, is that the way it goes pretty much?
Yeah. I mean, it's, hey, YOHO, you're in the game, or, hey, YOHO, start playing catch. And then it's like, once you hear your name, it's like, boom, like, all right, all my nervous system flicks on real quick, and then it's like, all right, it's go time. So, you kind of joke around, have fun, and then it's like, as soon as you hear your name, it's like, all right, time to go. It's time to go to work. So
now, what are you doing in the moments leading up to that? Are you watching the game? Are you watching their hitters, that kind of thing? Are you watching your pitchers and how they're approaching them? How does that work?
Absolutely. It's you watch certain hitters, and you kind of pinpoint, like, okay, like, hey, he hit that pitch off of our starter, for a double in the gap. Like, that's good to know. You kind of just store that away, and then like, oh, okay, they're being really aggressive first pitch tonight. Like, let's maybe throw something like strike the ball first pitch to see if I get them to chase. So it's just like little notes like that you kind of keep up during the game. But like at the same time, like you got to remember we're playing a game. So it's like there's a little bit of a middle ground there where it's like you want to have a little fun and, hang out with the guys down there. But at the same time, we're here to work. And so, just keeping those little like notes in the back of your head. And then obviously you get the scouting report of like the next 3 hitters whenever you're getting up and getting hot. So, the pitching coaches down there always do a great job of kind of getting you prepared for when you go into that position where it's like you might be bases loaded, nobody out. It might be a clean inning. So you just never really know the situation until it's up. So.
And I guess there's always a little bit of, he hit a fastball for a double, but he ain't hit my fastball, right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, you always got to have that little bit.
Craig YOHO of the Nashville Sounds joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Craig, we appreciate your time, man. And are you looking at another call up between now and the end of the year?
I try to not focus on any of that because it's out of my control. I'll just always, be where my feet are and do everything I can at the position I am. And, if the Brewers decide that's the best thing for the team to win, then absolutely I'll be looking forward to it and, do everything I can to help them. But, it's out of my control and I can only get outs.
There we go.
Good answer.
Man, we appreciate it. And best of luck continuing to get out. And we'll be looking for you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. That conversation with Craig Yoho was even better the second time than it was the first, because I wasn't having to come up with questions. I could just listen to it. That was some good stuff. I enjoyed that. I hope y'all did too. We are now joined by the biggest Tennessee fan on the West Coast, Christopher Gabriel of the CG program out at KMJ in Fresno. Mr. Gabriel, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Are you hearing me okay from this little studio that I'm in?
We are hearing you okay, and
we gotcha.
And I wish all I was doing was hearing you, but I just glanced at the screen, and I guess you have to adapt a team. See, I had promised that I wasn't going to talk White Sox, but see, you went there. So
you need to know. Well, you need to know what this is about. First of all,
okay.
I enjoyed your conversation with Craig. You know, you have one of my guys out there on your beloved Braves, and that's Dylan Lee. Dylan's been on my show a bunch of times. Of course, He came out of Fresno State, and I'm excited to see. I was just looking at his numbers, and he looks like he's having a pretty good year. Is he well received down there? Because I hope he is.
For the most part, you know, he's had a couple of hiccups here and there, but I mean, everybody in the bullpen does. But yeah, for the most part, he is pretty well thought of in Braves country. Hashtag Braves country.
Now let me explain the Phillies shirt.
Please do.
So I'm first of all, I root for the White Sox. And I will tell you that on August 1st, on my show here at KMJ, I predicted the White Sox would have 103 losses on or before August 31st. Let me just tell you, fellas, I'm ready to hang the banner. You know, there's very few things that we have to root for in Chicago. They've denied me. A few years ago, they denied me 100 losses. This year, I've got it. My family lived in Philly for 50 years, and, you know, not to get down a sad road, but I've lost everybody in my family. The one person who's left is my mom, and she is a diehard Phillies fan, loves them. So whenever I have a chance, because she always watches when I'm on with you guys, I always like to, you know, rep for my mom a little bit.
Okay. Hi, Mom.
Spice it up. And yeah, we give a shout out to Mom and Christopher, the White Sox and the number 45. You might be thinking, yeah, that was the number Michael Jordan wore. But currently, that's the number of games back they are in the AL Central.
You know, it's funny because I have railed on Jerry Reinsdorf much of my career, and there are Jerry Reinsdorf apologists in Chicago. Pardon my English, I ain't one of them. I go way back with the White Sox to the real park, to the real original Comiskey Park. That place was great. A lot of people don't know that the designer of that park, 4 years later, he's the same person who designed Wrigley Field. I loved Comiskey. When Reinsdorf decided to move, just a little background for you, move across the street to his new park, the architectural firm in Kansas City, HOK, they gave him the plans. I'm getting irritated just thinking about it. They gave him the plans for what became Camden Yards. He said, no. We don't want that. We had a throwback park. We want something different. So he built the dump that they play in now. And when I say dump, it's decent sightlines, but there's no character. There's no character in that place. And I grew up, for those of us of an era, I grew up in a park that was loaded with character. That place just shook. So we've got a lousy park. We've got a miserable team. Bringing Grady Sizemore in. Okay, way to go, Jerry. Just go sell out. Instead of doing a national search, I'm talking like I'm doing a college basketball search. Instead of really thinking it through, he brings in this guy as if he was going to what? Make it so that the Sox finished 40 out behind fourth. I'm so frustrated. And then we have renderings of a new park on the Chicago River. That's great. How about we get a team before we get a park?
Fair point.
It makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world. I had promised no White Sox, but anyway, at any rate, Chattanooga comes into Neyland Stadium for the Nico coronation, I guess, as much as anything else. I mean, there's no suspense to this ball game, right?
No, there really isn't. I mean, you want to be respectful for Chattanooga. I mean, like in the pros, we'd say, well, they're getting paid to win too. Well, I guess we could say that in college too. But Chattanooga isn't getting paid as much, and they are. I covered an FCS team. Are they still FCS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I covered
and they're
an
ranked
FCS
eighth.
team.
I think they're ranked eighth in FCS this year. To open,
I covered an FCS team for 6 years. That was a little better, and they're known as North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited to see them tonight in Colorado. But as far as Chattanooga, yeah, this should be a game Saturday that Josh Heupel and company get to really go through the depth chart and really watch a lot of guys play. And one of the things that we've learned with Josh Heupel since he's been in Knoxville is that these games are not usually close. We all remember the Georgia State, we remember those games where in the fourth quarter, we're all pulling our hair out or getting it whiter. This game should not be within 50 for the fine young men in Chattanooga. I mean, it might be a better day for them to just stay and hang out at the aquarium there because Josh Heupel, to his credit, very much like Steve Spurrier. And I never had a problem with Spurrier when he would be dropping 70 on teams because Spurrier would, remember, he'd come out and go, not my job. But we're going to be a half bunch of Gators. You have to stop us. Well, they've got to stop Josh Heupel. And Josh Heupel is not interested in playing nice. I think this is a big year. Not a year that if Josh Heupel and this team, if they don't do as well as we think, it's not a hot seat year or anything like that. But I do think he is loaded on the offensive side. The offensive line is outstanding. The receiver room on paper is one of the 2 or 3 best in the nation. Nico Iamaleava, I mean, if he is who we thought who we think he is, look out. He's going to be able to go to past page 2 of the playbook, which we never really went past last year, with all due respect to Joe Milton, who I liked. But Joe was limited in what he could do. It seemed like he's doing a hell of a lot more up in New England in preseason than he ever did for the Vols. Defensively, the question I think we all have is how they're going to be in the secondary. But I really believe this is a team, if they stay healthy, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to win at least 10 games, fellas.
And 10 wins puts them in the playoffs, right?
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Sure feels like it. With that being said, what would a perfect game as a Vols fan for you look like? Short of, I mean, is it simple as running the score up and getting everybody some reps and getting out of there with no injuries? Is that pretty much the formula for what you want to see for Tennessee?
Yeah.
Let me interject because no injuries is the first.
Yeah.
That's the big one. Yeah, Wade, that's it.
Yeah.
Wade, but that's absolutely it. No injuries. I want to see Nico. I want to see him in the pocket. I want to see him with some deep shots. I want to see them go over the middle. I want to see how they utilize the tight end this year. I'd love to see a little bit more misdirection in the running game. The run up the middle, the delayed handoff up the middle, we saw that at least 11,000 times last year. I'd like to see something different because the Vols have the kind of speed east-west that they can do that. Defensively, I'm looking forward to seeing the kind of year that James Pierce is going to have. Let's see them do that. Stay healthy. Show a couple of extra pages in the playbook because obviously Oklahoma looms, as well as a tough SEC schedule. Let's get 3 or 4 deep and let's see what they can do out there. Absolutely.
How much Brew McCoy do you want to see Saturday?
I want to see as much as he is comfortable and Josh Heupel is comfortable playing him. I don't think that if this game goes the way I think the 3 of us think it will go, I can't imagine that Brew needs to play more than a half. I mean, obviously he wants to feel that game speed again. And the game speed, gentlemen, that he's going to have against Chattanooga is not going to be the game speed he's going to have in coming weeks. So there's that element. So we don't need to see an injury, like we saw a couple of years ago. I forget who it was against Akron. We don't need any nonsense like that. Get him in, get him some reps, throw to him, target him 4, 5, 6 times. I'm excited that Brew is back. And my sense is that from the people that I've spoken to, he is as strong as he's ever been. So I take him out at halftime. We should be up by a lot at halftime. This is not Butch Jones. You know, this is not any of the. They should be up by a lot, and the Chattanooga folks, you know, with all due respect to them, should be in their cars and on their way home.
What would you like to see? How many times would you like the ESPN or ESPN Plus, I assume, announce crew mention James Pierce Jr. and what a force he could be in the SEC this year? What would a coming out party on national TV maybe look like for him this week?
Wade, I want to hear him mention it over and over and over. I mean, that's going to tell me that. I mean, James Pierce is going to play at 180 miles an hour. That's all he knows. And I mean, he is a shark, and the quarterback is a bunch of raw meat. I mean, that's all it is for him. When I watch him play, maybe there's a better comparison, but when I watch him and his intensity, I immediately think of Al Wilson. That's the guy that I think about in terms of the fire that drives him, the hunger that drives him, and the ability, the speed that it takes him to get, or the quickness that he gets to a quarterback and just moves past people. I think that we're going to see him coming from all angles, and he's also a guy that we probably won't or shouldn't need to see a lot of Saturday. I don't know about you guys. I cannot wait to see him line up in a couple of weeks against Oklahoma.
That should be fun, to say the least. Christopher Gabriel of the CG program out of Fresno joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Get through Saturday. Don't get anybody hurt. Do what you're supposed to do, and let's get ready to move on, because NC State looms.
Yeah, shame on me for getting the NC State game, because it's interesting that the talk around that game, because a lot of folks at the national level are saying, they're going to give UT a better battle than they think. Well, I don't know what they think Vols fans or Vols media thinks, because I think everybody respects NC State. Nobody is looking at NC State as if they are a Raleigh version of Chattanooga. That's a good team. They've got good talent. They've got some real skill there. The Vols are better. The Vols are better at virtually every position, and the Vols should win that game. But it's not going to be a cakewalk. But yeah, I forgot about that game. That is Charlotte, right? It's in Charlotte this year?
That's correct.
Yeah, and obviously, they're going to have a lot of fans. I don't think that's going to really matter much. It's going to be a nice test for Nico, and I think Nico will be just fine. I saw him in high school out here, and one of the things about high school football in California is that there's a lot of opportunities to play, not only in larger stadiums, probably on average not as large as stadiums in Texas, but there's a lot of media coverage of high school football in this state. I mean, between Los Angeles, San Diego, Oakland, Sacramento, here in Fresno, which is a hotbed of talent and recruiting. He's used to that kind of scrutiny, that kind of intensity. And I think that's where his kind of California cool is going to really, really serve him well. I don't think, maybe I'll be proven wrong, guys, but I don't think going into this first game in terms of a crowd that's going to be a lot more hostile than the bowl game with the Iowa fans. I mean, I know Iowa sent a lot of people, but that game was over early. I think that he's going to be just fine in that setting in Charlotte, and I expect that he's going to lead this team exceptionally well.
And, for all of the experience that comes back on this team this year, both Nico and Boo Carter apparently are on the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year watch list. So that's kind of encouraging as well, that people realize that there's some young talent on this ball club as well.
And it's a good point that you're making, Mo, because there's going to be Philip Fulmer fans who will probably be upset with me saying that. I was a fan of Philip Fulmer, but what always bothered me about Coach Fulmer is that he had a reluctance to play young talent. I mean, we all know, he kept guys on the bench. I always go back to Spurrier, simply because I remember Spurrier saying, we don't recruit these guys to sit them. We recruit these guys to play them. And the only way to find out what they can do is get them in the game. And Josh Heupel is clearly that kind of coach. And I like that, because when you're doing that, you're not only giving these guys game reps, you're giving them confidence up here. You're letting them know that the staff, it believes in you. And when you go out there, we've all played sports. When you go out there with the belief that your coaches believe in you, you're gonna elevate just a little more.
Well, and beyond that, Christopher, in this day and time, if you're not playing young guys, you're not keeping young guys.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a great point. Isn't that the truth? Because one of these guys, especially with the kind of talent that a guy like a Boo Carter has, he can say, listen, I'll put my name in the portal and I'm going to have 100 people coming after me inside of 5 minutes. So yeah, you better play them.
Yeah, they're not coming to sit. So, Christopher, we got some news, I guess, in the last 24 hours or so regarding not the football team, but the athletic director at the University of Tennessee. And the phrase that was used was his contract was amended. He is now the highest paid athletics director in the Southeastern Conference, where clearly it just means more, right?
It just means more, and he should be the highest paid athletic director in the Southeastern Conference for a couple of reasons. I went on a number of stations in the Southeast when he got hired. He spent some time here, and I knew his background pretty well. I was on board for him from day one. And I had some Vols fans come at me, not in a bad way, but just kind of come at me saying, CG, you're all excited about this guy, but it is after a year, but he hasn't hired any coaches. And I made the point to them, and I'll make it now, that the job of an athletic director is not just about hiring coaches. It is about fundraising. It is about improving facilities. It is about inspiring and invigorating a fan base and listening to a fan base, understanding, reading the room, as it were. And I cannot objectively, and I mean, I've been fortunate to have a lot of athletic directors on my program over the years, from coast to coast, FBS and FCS. I can't think of anybody who I would want in that position in Tennessee more than Danny White. You look at what he's done, even little things that might seem little, the Vols letters on the south end of the stadium, doing some different things inside the stadium, what they've done at the north end, the Neyland Entertainment Complex, Lindsey Nelson Stadium, all of those things that have been overdue, making Tony Vitello the highest paid college baseball coach in the nation. We use that phrase, he gets it. Nobody gets it better than Danny White. He listens. He puts plans into action. He's not going to do every single thing that fans ask for, but he does listen. And not only does he create winning plans, he executes. And when he got to Tennessee, he made it very clear. And last year is a great example of this, the entire athletic year. He made it very clear to coaches and athletes throughout UT, men and women, every sport, Olympic sports and the major sports, that the bar is up here. It's not down here anymore. The bar isn't about competing. The bar isn't just about winning SEC championships. The bar is about getting to NCAA tournaments and winning championships. Last year, 20 sports, 20 NCAA tournament berths. How many schools can say that? And that is message received from coaches and players. And I think the fact that Tony broke through, and we've talked about this on the show, on your show, guys, the fact that Tony broke through, I think that raised the bar exponentially for everybody in that department. And Danny White is always driving that point home. He's a guy that talks it and he walks it. And I love that about him. And he's not going anywhere. People were like, oh, he might go to Notre Dame. He's not going anywhere. Danny White's not going anywhere. Tony V wasn't going anywhere. Josh Heupel's not going anywhere. Tennessee is a destination job. It is not a skipping over.
I don't think people realize that. And I understand that I've grown up in this state, and I understand that I've seen Tennessee football at its peak. And so I get it when I say that Tennessee is a destination university from an athletic standpoint, and people don't get it. I understand that. But when Tennessee is operating at peak performance, why would you want to be anywhere else? Is kind of the question that I ask. And again, I've seen it. A lot of people haven't. So I get not necessarily understanding it, but it doesn't make me wrong either.
No. I mean, my younger daughter is a senior in high school this year. And the schools that are on her final list, I mean, she's a great student. The schools are, some of them are UCLA, Cal, Cornell, Washington. Tennessee is on her list because she just loves what she's seen. She loves the environment there. And she said, this just looks like, it not only has what she wants to be either a nurse or an anesthesiologist, but she said, the environment here is exciting. It's a place that seems fun to be at. And what is college about? It's about having fun too, along with getting an education. And if you are a student athlete, performing. And I've been a fan for over 50 years. I was recruited by Ray Mears. I love Tennessee. I love Tennessee through and through, and I love the state. But the thing is, when I look at UT, I still look at it as somebody who is an outsider. Mo, like you, I didn't grow up there, but every time I go there, I feel like I'm going to my second home. And I don't care if that sounds corny. It's the God's honest truth. Every time I'm flying into Knoxville, man, I get a little misty when the plane swoops in north of the campus and I'm looking down, and it's like, I feel like I'm home. And I think it's that kind of environment. And it's Danny White and Josh Heupel and Rick Barnes and Tony Vitello and hopefully, and I believe Kim Caldwell and certainly other coaches, Karen Weekly, have made Tennessee what it should be and emphatically a destination spot for students and for student athletes and for coaches.
That was a pretty good PSA for the University of Tennessee right there.
Well, they don't need to pay me a dime for that.
That was on the house, right?
That's on the house.
Christopher Gabriel of the CG program out of Fresno joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Christopher, we appreciate it. Enjoy your 8:45 wake up call for
that's
Tennessee and
right.
Chat. Yeah.
Well, I get up for my show, my daily show here every day. I get up at 3:30 a.m. So at 6:30 a.m., I'm waking up and I'm getting things going. So that's a piece of cake. On a Saturday, my daughter that I talked about, we're going to go to a wing place. We're going to get a boatload of wings and sit down and watch some Tennessee football.
There we go. Sounds good. Hey man, we appreciate you. We'll be checking back with you here soon. When we continue on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's a grab bag. So come back for the final segment of the day right here.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we are now heading into the grab bag. Let's start with a little college football news, where apparently the postseason exemption for red shirts has been approved. So if you are being redshirted during the season, already you get 4 games during the regular season for football to play in, and still you can maintain redshirt status. Now you can play in a bowl game or in the college football playoffs and still maintain your redshirt status as well. So another player plus move, I guess, by the NCAA Division I Oversight Committee. You can play as many as 5 games and get redshirted.
That's crazy. And so what I'm curious is, because this article also lists conference title games. So, I mean, could you, in theory, play the SEC championship game and then every college football playoff game? I mean, because then at that point, you're potentially talking about, 6 games.
If you play in a conference championship game, if you are in the, 5-12 game, then that's potentially 3 playoff games there. You could play as many as 4 postseason games. 4 games during the regular season. You could play 8 games out of, what is that, 16, I guess?
Yeah, I'm reading this.
Half a season, theoretically.
Yeah, in this article now, it says here, teams have the potential to play up to as many as 5 postseason contests, meaning a player could participate in potentially 9 games during a 17-game season without exhausting a year of eligibility. I mean, why not? I mean, that's crazy, right? And if you have some wild, like old school Tim Tebow, like super freshman just waiting in the wings, that'd be a heck of a way to kind of uncork that right toward the end of the season, put some new wrinkles in for the playoffs, right?
That's I guess it is wild. I guess as much as anything, it's because, of the number of opt-outs and that kind of thing that are taking place in the postseason, that, a number of teams were really kind of shorthanded going into bowl play last year. And so I guess this kind of mitigates that to some degree.
Yeah, and it's clutch in the sense that if you have an injury late in the season, you may have to use a guy out of necessity for the college football playoff or, whatever postseason run you have. And it's nice to know that you don't have to potentially burn that red shirt at that point. Yeah, that is clutch.
Yeah. It's certainly a change. I mean, it's, think about preserving red shirts and that kind of thing. You don't think about, well, you can play half a season and still red shirt. So that's different. More different. Beginning with SEC play for SEC teams, all Southeastern Conference teams will be required to provide injury reports on Wednesdays prior to Saturday games. So there's no, well, we don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. I guess it's very similar to the NFL's available, probable, doubtful, questionable, or out. Yeah. So some schools released injury reports last season, but the new rule will bring uniformity to the process. According to David Cobb of CBS Sports, following the initial Wednesday availability report, updates will need to be submitted to the conference on Thursday and Friday before a final report 90 minutes prior to kickoff. Availability reports will also be mandated the night before SEC basketball and baseball games. Schools that do not provide accurate or timely information will be subject to fines that escalate with each offense. College football coaches are often hesitant to publicly share information on player injuries for fear of giving upcoming opponents an edge in scouting. However, the widespread legalization of sports gambling in recent years has turned injury information into a currency of sorts in the wagering world. So they're trying to kind of close up that potential leak in any potential chicanery there, I guess.
Yeah, no Alabama baseball coaches on this watch, at least. There won't be any chicanery like you said there. This is interesting too, right? Because they become the third conference to do so. Who'd have thought everybody would be following the footsteps of the MAC? But here we are. The MAC was the first to announce that they would do the injury reports. Big Ten right behind them. And the SEC right now, with this news today, conference games only, and then they kind of have rolling reports throughout the week. The Big Ten is going to be all games, not just conference games, and they would be 2 hours before kickoff. And it looks like the MAC will be all games as well, and 3 hours before kickoff. So I imagine everybody is going to end up doing this. It is kind of fascinating that every league kind of gets to call its own shots in some regard. And so the SEC, for league play at least, will be doing this because, yeah, it's become kind of a wild phenomenon, the injury situation and availability. I mean, that could dramatically change the outcome, you would assume, if you have a hot tip that a guy's not going to play at all, or be very limited in some capacity.
Yeah. Wait, again, college football begins in earnest this weekend. We got a full slate of games on Saturday. We've got some games tonight, and nothing earth-shattering per se, but North Carolina and Minnesota is an intriguing, Power 4 matchup up at Minneapolis for this one. You're going to see some pretty high-powered cross-conference matchups over the weekend, but this one is, a little, I don't want to say odd, but unexpected, I guess.
I think it'll be a good game. It certainly probably will be your game of the night in terms of competitive.
Sure.
I don't imagine that Colorado, North Dakota State will be, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be close, but I would assume I'm going to give a slight lean to Colorado. But yeah, North Carolina and Minnesota feels like it's going to be kind of the game of the night. No disrespect to Murray State, but I feel like Missouri probably rolls them relatively easy. And so this will be one worth watching. Minnesota apparently earlier in the offseason was a small favorite, but now it is flipped, and now North Carolina is about a 1.5 point favorite. So competitive-wise, at least according to Vegas, this will be one of the more intriguing matchups tonight to get things kind of kicked off.
Absolutely. North Carolina won this matchup 31-13 in Chapel Hill last year. So, Minnesota kind of looking for a little get back. I'm not sure they're going to get it though. What's the spread on this one, Wade? I know you know.
Well, yeah, 1.5. It is. It was North Carolina. It was Minnesota. Yeah, just it was Minnesota 1.5 in the preseason, and in the last 48 hours, it's North Carolina 1.5 now. So that is for sure going to be your closest matchup of the night in terms of your point spread. No disrespect to Lindenwood, but I don't know that they have the guns at 49.5-point underdogs to Kansas tonight. So Minnesota and North Carolina will be the one that we watch. Obviously, Colorado will be interesting to see just exactly what the heck we get. I'll keep a small tab on my Tulane boys as the offensive coordinator down there. So they got Southeastern Louisiana, but a couple good games tonight, a couple sneaky good games tomorrow night, as well as Florida Atlantic goes up to Sparta. We'll get into Friday more. Well, on Friday, how about that?
Yeah, let's do that. Wade, talk a little WNBA for just a second while I dip out of here for a minute.
Sure. What I can tell you is that the WNBA schedule last night, this was not a misnomer. This was not a something that we misspoke on during the rundown today. It was 94-88 as the Sparks defeated the Liberty. Liberty have lost, two of their last three? 2 in a row, maybe? So 94-88. Sparks fall to Liberty. Spoiling an effort, though, from Breanna Stewart, who had 32 points and 6 rebounds. Rakia Jackson, former Tennessee standout, had 19 for the Sparks. Derica Hamby, who's been embroiled in the news, formerly of the Las Vegas Aces, she had 21 points for the Sparks there. So that's an interesting piece of the scoreboard equation last night, again, as the Sparks knock off the Liberty 94-88. Other game that caught my attention, though, was you can't mention it without bringing up the Fever over the Sun last night. As the Fever, they are now one game just below 500, 15-16 on the year, and the Sun. So think about that, folks. We saw last night the top 2 teams in the WNBA, in the East rather, both go down. And we saw them go down to 2 of the worst teams, or 2 of the worst teams, I should say, in their respective leagues. So the Liberty fall last night to the Sparks, and the Sun fall to the Fever, as it was 84-80. Leading the way was Johnny Carrington for the Sun. On the Fever, however, it was Kelsey Mitchell. You thought I was going to say somebody different, but it was Kelsey Mitchell with 23 points leading the way for the Fever. Lexi Hull, fresh off her internet blow up during the Olympics, had the Instagram fans out there going nuts. She had 17 points last night. Aaliyah Boston had 10. Caitlin Clark had 19 points to go along with 5 rebounds and 5 assists. So,
did you mention that Caitlin set a rookie WNBA 3-point record last night with her 88?
Didn't mention that. I was saving that for you.
Oh, yeah.
So perfect timing, my friend.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, again, Caitlin and Angel continuing to be 1 and 1A amongst WNBA rookies as this thing comes down and the regular season winds down in the WNBA and we get headed toward postseason play. Both those young ladies, all eyes are going to be on them again in the postseason and going forward for the next few years. So plenty to watch.
We hope the Sky are in a little bit of a free fall. They've lost now after last night 4 in a row, and the Dream luckily have lost 3 in a row because they are just 1 game back. But they've been playing a little bit better too. So the Chicago's kind of got to get some things figured out. They are trending in the wrong direction, but the fact remains, you said it best. The fact we're talking about 2 young ladies for the 7th and 8th best teams in the WNBA as much as we are, that tells you that the league is in a pretty good spot.
No doubt. Absolutely. Throwback Thursday coming to a close here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will be back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the Lee Company studios. Be sure and join us. We'll see you then.